What's next?
The cartoon Bluey.
Okay.
The kids' cartoon Bluey.
I don't know. This is Australian, I think, isn't
It's
it?
Australian. It's really, really just exceptional work. It's exquisite.
Why is that?
And maybe it's that Hannah Hawkswell thing. There's something underneath Bluey that is different to everything that's gone before it. It's animated the same and the voices are the same and all that. The essence of play and what it is to be a kid is like something from... So I would say they stand alone as adult. I watch them on my own quite happily because underpinning an episode that is about an annoying toy in the house is something about what it is to be a child or a parent or just alive. I don't know how they do it because now there's about 100, so there's like 3 seasons of it. Every one of them is just 5 or 6 minutes. And my daughter, I mean, they've had like a tangible effect when she's been ill and we've had to go to A&E or whatever. They make her feel better, and you can't put a price on that as a parent. That there's a physical effect on her of watching these little things. And then we've had loads of times where we cuddle up in bed and watch them in the morning, or stick one on in the afternoon, or when we're driving. You know, that someone's created something that has brought all of us. It's why Lee Evans is my favourite comic, because I have a memory of my nan, my mum, my sister, and me all laughing the same, all laughing equally hard.
Yeah.
And thinking, what a fuck, I can't do that as a comic.
Yeah. Do you know, I was thinking about that the other day. I was watching a special and I was thinking that era, I was thinking specifically of Billy Connolly, but you're so right. I remember you'd get your Lee Evans video for Christmas. And then it was that thing of, shall we all pop it on?
Yeah, and you have to save it for a point when you're all together and save it so you've looked, because once you've watched it, that's it. So you want to hold that moment for as long as possible.
But it was you're so right. It's that,
There's a handful of people in my life who, if I just say bags within fucking bags, that instantly takes them back to that moment.
Yeah.
And Bluey's got that. The episode where they go to the mum's dad, what's her name, Chili. They go to, so it's like about the granddad, and it ends with them on a jetty looking out across a lake, and they're watching the grandkids play, and she says to him, God, it's ages since I was here. And he just puts his arm around her and says, no, it's not, darling, it was only yesterday. And it cuts to them when he's the dad and it's sending the hairs on the back of my neck talking about it. It's like, to do that as part of a kid's cartoon is mind-blowing. It's because you don't need to. You could have ended the episode 5 minutes ago. It just would have been a funny episode about a bit of chase with a granddad. That is like another level of artistry.
Yeah, it's that. Isn't there? There's a line from, I think, a Bell and Sebastian. Someone goes, "No one writes him like they used to, so it may as well be me." And it's that thing when an artist in whatever form chooses to kind of go, right, let's leave everything out on the field and make what is the best cartoon we could make every week. But like you say, if they've done 300 episodes, that is phenomenal. It's a bit like
it's
South
100
Park.
or so. It's like, I'd say there's about 100.
But it's the same with South Park. That it's like, no one watches it as often as they should. But when you watch it, you're like, my God, these guys are still churning out.
Yeah.
And
the
churning
old
out
ones
is the
stand
wrong.
up. There's enough old ones that they could just stop and go, that's better than most of what anyone else has done.
Yeah. But verse it, and you can just tell the difference when you're watching something and you go, God, someone's put everything of themselves in this.
Yeah.
Because that makes you talking about that makes me want to watch that. Because I haven't got kids, so I watched because we had my nephew and my niece over for Christmas, and I watched an episode. I watched SpongeBob the movie with my nephew Lewis. It was unbelievable. It was so brilliant. Oh, it was so funny. And like, there was a bit in it where SpongeBob is underwater and they need to get to a place. And he goes, you know what we need? We need David Hasselhoff, right? And then the actual David Hasselhoff arrives. And SpongeBob and his pal jump on Hasselhoff's back. It's the real Hasselhoff. He's going through water. He spins, right? They get to this place and they go, right, now we need to get underwater. There's only one way we can do it. So they get between the pecs of Hasselhoff. Hasselhoff pushes his pecs together and shoots them to the bottom of the ocean. And that's like this 2-minute bit of and I'm laughing hysterically of the absurdity of it. My nephew is laughing. And you go, it's a real skill. It's like when you watch, like, you can argue a lot of animation. Life of Pets does it the same, where there these the care that's taken over the jokes, and it's not
Yeah.
like, oh, here's one for the dads. It's not like, you know,
But
like
it's also hard to marry that you're talking about, that perfect, where it's intergenerational and it's clean. You know, when people say work clean, there's a bit of me that thinks, "No, I don't agree with that." When you watch Billy Connolly's bit that always goes viral about the word f, and
yeah,
you can
yeah.
say fucking anywhere and everyone knows what you mean. But then when you see something like that and you think, well, it is better if you can make something that's for everyone.
Who'd have thought 20 years ago that you'd have said, "I tell you what settles my daughter down, a nice Bluey," and
Yeah.
that's kind
Go
of
and watch a couple of Blueies.
yeah, exactly.
Well, 20 years ago, funnily enough, because
Is it blue?
what I do think about is there's something about kids' TV as well for when you're older. When I was really unhappy at uni, I watched a lot of tweenies. And I got really into the tweenies because it was on probably at 10 o'clock when I should have gone to my lecture and I couldn't because I couldn't get out of bed. It became like a real thing to latch onto. And that was like a safe hour, because in my head I was like, well, I'm just watching what poorly kids are watching now. So I don't have to think about any of that other stuff, because for this hour when the tweenies is on, that feeling when you were a kid and you got the day off and you got to have your packed lunch, but you had it like on the sofa watching kids telly. There's something very direct about kids telly because it's so pure, and I still watch stuff from when I was a kid. I've still got old VHSs of the cartoons I used to watch, and there's, you know.
Well, I remember at the Edinburgh Festival just going into your room and finding you watching Winnie the Pooh. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ.
And you still didn't ring my mum. What's wrong with you?
Well,
I've got a folder full of the quotes you've taken off my kitchen door. I'm watching Winnie the Pooh in my underpants, drinking vermouth at 20.
yeah, but you were having a good month. So I didn't, that was it. I was kind of going, well, wherever it takes.
You know, he's getting numbers.
But it kind of was that thing where
Yeah.
you just, but I often, I don't know, I find I can only go off of stand-up, but all the extra things that go alongside brilliant stand-ups, whatever they're into, is always odd stuff. And so you kind of, I really like that. I like the intricacies and peculiarities of the things that stand-ups are into that they wouldn't let anyone else know. And you're like, bloody hell, that's a weird. But that was clearly a comfort blanket.
Yeah. Well, I met Bob Golding, who did the voice. So he was Eric Morecambe in the play Morecambe.
And he's called
at Edinburgh.
Goldinger.
Bob Golding.
Oh, right. Oh, fine.
Winnie the Pooh is a very interesting reference, because I think actually in terms of that dual level thing, probably Winnie the Pooh is quite a good reference point for Bluey, in terms of there's a philosophical point underneath. The end of Winnie the Pooh, very sad.
Yeah.
When we leave them in the 100-acre wood forever. That's
Yeah.
like a whack. That's a no fucking about end to a kid's story.
Pixar, it's about time you made a cartoon that's really bleak. And, it's
The
about
end of
an
Pixar.
incontinent squirrel. Just
Yeah. The version of Up where they never get the balloons in balance and they just fuck off into space and die in a vacuum. That one.
Oh, I'd kill for Ice Age. At least it's all hard. Bloody hellfire.
But I do think some of the people who've written kid books it's that,
Yeah.
I really think, and you get to the end of it and you've signed the deal and it's too late, you've got to release the book, but you're like, I thought for a second maybe I was going to be the next great
that's
children's
true.
author, and actually now I've just written an all right book.
Yeah.
And also, all right is fine for kids as well if it's a book they read once and enjoy. And
Sure.
it's part of their reading journey. That's so it doesn't. Not everything has to be a book that
But I
gets
think
read
it's-
200 times. But
it's the assumption that you could do it. That's
Yeah.
what, like, it's like, oh, I could do that. What? I could paint that. Could you?
well,
I
it's
could
because
sing
that's
that
the
song.
story we tell, isn't it? When we're selling, like when someone's selling a book and they say, "Well, it's actually a story that I just made up for my kids." So when I was putting them, I think, "Fucking did you?
Yeah.
Oh no, I need to up my game."